And then, Ross Parent, or those three. And she used to be the bus supervisor. She's running, and then, but this is for the 6 years. And then Billy Joe, Clark, or Stone, and then the teacher, the one that's no, what? There's a Mervyn Ryan. She's the one that's a school teacher in Gray. And she's got kids that go to our school. And she's a school teacher. How is that right now she's on the school board? I don't understand that. That would be a conflict of interest. I mean, you'll have to retire or something, I would feel. But anyways, I guess, I don't know. Dan, Mrs. Dan. Linda Dan, she's running. And I think it's going to be 2 for the 4-year. Two, let's see. So who's okay, I'm only my Aunt Billy Hicks leaving.
Wednesday?
Yeah. Yeah, Steve Bassey. Yeah, Gary's got, he had a 6-year one, so he's gonna do that. So there's 3 there. I can't because of this job. Even, I had to decide, run.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emerson here. Saunders
here.
Sergeant at Arms Bill York.
Here.
Ordinance Officer Steve Pennington.
Here. Any minutes to the agenda? Everybody had a chance to review the minutes of the public hearing last meeting as well as the regular meeting. Everybody had a chance to review those minutes, like a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Motion and support. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer's report.
Last month's balance was $1,021,074.59. Receipts for the month, $22,887.65. Disbursements, $93,889.62, giving a new balance of $950,072.62.
Okay, further report. Can I get motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Motion support. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, has everybody had an opportunity to review the bills the last month? If so, I need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion to approve or second it, either one.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Clerk's report.
Okay, I have a couple of things. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in remembrance of everyone who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001 in Fort, all the military people who lost their lives for fighting for this cause. Thank you. Okay, we received a letter from the Ogemaw County Crime Stoppers thanking us for our contribution, which will help them continue to fight crime and prevent future crime. I've also received a letter from Rod Robinson, who is our CPA, and we discussed the audit planning for the township's year ending June 30th, 2012. And Okay, I need a motion for the road closing for the Halloween parade, October 27th from 1 to 4, and it'll be starting at Skunk Hollow and ending at Park Street.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and support.
Height,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Yes, motion carried. I'll do the application and get it sent in, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, supervisor report. We received the preliminary reviews from the DNR in relationship to the grant application for the Elbow Lake project. The application received 260 points out of a possible 520, which is actually pretty good. I'd asked Lappin Associates to check with the grant coordinator to see where we rank, and we rank about 72 out of a possible 140. Last year, they had about the same amount of applications, and they did 100 applications. So we are in pretty good position as far as that's concerned. We are going to attempt to gain another 20 points. It's a point system by applying for another item within that application. There's some language and stuff that has to be redone. So we're going to try to do that, see if we can get 20 more points to try to secure that. The question was asked in reference to the annual meeting, what law that Michigan Townships Association had asked or had explained to me in reference to the Township Board not having an annual meeting. Obviously, it's clear that everybody has that. It's Michigan Compiled Law 41.8, and under paragraph 6, excerpt reads, a township is not required to hold an annual meeting. All this board, or whatever it was dissolved 15 years ago, is not of my concern. It's clearly been pointed out, so that's all I have to say about that. The township sirens have been converted to the narrowband as required by the FCC, and all of them have been tested. The Verizon tower is currently operational. However, it is uncertain if it's 100% at this time. I've been getting information that it's not reaching the Fawn Lake area and some of the Elbow Lake area, the low spot there. I've contacted John Crane, Mr. Crane, and tried to get an answer. He said Verizon was going to contact me. They have not contacted me back. I talked to some people. It appears like it's only reaching 5 miles where the original distance was supposed to be 8 miles. And so I don't have a complete answer for that as of yet. And that's all I have. Fire report.
Hi everyone. Last month, August, we had a total of 4 occurrences, 2 of which was false alarms, and we love to hear false alarms, definitely. And 2 of them were EMS assist. And that's all we had is 4, so that was a very good month for us. With additional business, I would ask that the board would support us in getting bids for a 30 by 30 approach in the rear of the building. What that's going to do is allow us to get our fire trucks in and out easily, and also that bid process should include to extend that driveway out another 50 feet or so. So if I get the support on that, I'll put together a bid sheet. Dean and I will work on it, and we'll present it to you folks, see if it's meets your satisfaction. So what we're looking at is a 30 by 30, 6-inch slab approach, and some more sand fill.
Extending the driveway.
Extending it out so we can get our trucks back to the new bays that we got.
This is in relationship to the work that was previously done on putting where you had 2 other fire truck, be able to park 2 other fire trucks within the building, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it's currently just sand right now.
Just sand, yeah. I have a 2x6 up against the door so it doesn't bog down, so it's not a good situation when you got emergency vehicles. We need to do it right and get it done.
Okay. The board doesn't have any questions? question, motion to allow them to apply for bids for the approach.
Make a motion. Second it.
Motion and support, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Burning and sand.
What's burning in Spanish?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh.
Burning now?
Well, this afternoon there.
Down
was.
by,
Yeah, but, yeah,
it was down by Bid.
they,
I didn't
Tony,
hear
but I
it.
heard that they, on the scanner, it says in scan this thing, I did.
Really?
Yeah.
They haven't called for
It
us?
was on the news.
Oh, what's that?
Was it?
Oh.
No, I don't know.
Oh.
Any other questions?
We're good then. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks all.
Brian, some building that had
Pennington? Sure.
For the month of August, we had 5 new cases. Had 0 cases that went to building and zoning, and 0 cases that went to DHD number 2, which is your district health department, which handles septic tanks and fields and that stuff. So, any questions?
Why would you have anything that goes to DHD for blight?
It's if somebody calls in something about a septic that isn't working or anything like that, I'll go out and look at it, and I'll I have a form from DHD number 2 that they gave me, and I fill it out and fax it over to them.
That's for blight?
It's not for blight, it's just helping out the taxpayer.
Oh, okay.
We get a variety of requests like that all the time, and we handle it in order to.
People they don't have, they'd have to go over there or get something to fax over to them and spend their time. It's much easier if they just want to contact me. I fill it out, I go look at it, and then I fax it over to Mike Anschutz, and he comes out and takes care of it. So, just easier for the taxpayers.
What about on the corner of my road there?
They're working on that as far as I know, so.
Yeah, they did a little
Yeah.
bit, put it
That's
all
been
over
to
the road.
yeah,
And the
that's
garbage
been to the
won't take it.
lawyers, and, I've talked to the lawyer as long as they're working on it.
Yeah, but they did
Well,
like 1 day on it,
But they're working on it. I've talked to the lawyer a couple times on it, so.
so you just wait and wait and wait.
Yeah, if it doesn't, eventually I'll get back with the lawyer.
Because they did haul it to the road, but the garbage won't take it the way they got
Yeah,
it.
they'll take
It's
so much
building
at a time.
materials,
Yeah.
and I understand why.
Yeah, they take so much at a time. It may be there, but gradually.
Well, they won't
yeah.
take building materials at all.
What's out there for building materials?
Piping and, all the plumbing from the trailers and,
They'll take them.
Seems like
No,
your scrappers would get it.
it's not, they're not supposed
Well,
to.
he may have, I'm gonna have to get with him. He's probably gonna have to get a dumpster in there then, so.
Right.
What he's gonna have to do like anybody else, so. But, you happen to know where he went to?
I see him walking by once in a while.
Last I.
And then on the other corner there, Kevin, down on the other way.
Conley down there?
Yeah, he's been bad for years.
I thought he sold that, but.
Oh, he may have, but he's still there.
Yeah, if you wanna call me, I can go look at it, so.
Okay.
Alright. Any other questions?
I'd like to know about the basement that sits on Skunk Hollow, that is still
Yeah, that is.
open.
What happened with that is that went into the attorney's office. Mr. Rue goes and gets a building permit, and that stops it. So he has 188 days to do something with it. If he doesn't, we gotta go back to the lawyer. The lawyer can send him paperwork. If he goes back in and gets another building permit, that stops it. That's from what I've got from the lawyer, so.
That's what's been going on.
And he's continually paying. I don't know what he pays for those permits. I don't know, probably
They're over $500.
$500 for a permit, and it just sits there. So, we've tried, but, we've got stuff to the lawyers we've sent. But if he goes in there and gets that building permit, pays us $500, that stops it for 188 days, so.
We were just actually talking about that just the other day, and, matter of fact, I just said to see, because we gotta look to see if the time frame is up on the building permit, but, yeah, that's what's been going on with that.
Have you had any complaints about his store
No.
mess? Can I file one now?
Yep, you can. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I say good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners report, with Mr. Hill here.
Okay, John West had called me and he can't be here tonight, he just got out of the hospital. Pete Hennard cannot be here tonight, but he brought his report in, so Bill, do you mind passing this out for me, please?
No, yeah, I think I can do that.
And that's what I have to report on.
Thank you. Okay, Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business, the Elbow Lake project easement. When we started the process for the Elbow Lake project, we discovered that there's 2 parcels of property that, when you first turn into the Elbow Lake beach, there's 2 parcels of property that were not, there was no easement for those parcels of property. Let me rephrase that. There was an easement there, but they were only 9 feet. We need at least 35 feet of an easement, which that existing road has been there for over 60 years. And that gives access not only just to the Elbow Lake beach area, but also the ingress and egress for that subdivision that's back there. And that is required, that ingress and egress. So we requested easements from the 2 property owners that were in question. And I have a letter back. I went out and met with both of these people. And they were very favorable, and it seemed to be an issue. We were not going to infringe on their property any more than what's already currently there. However, I'm going to read this letter that we received from one property owner.
This is enough.
As the owner of record of the property located at 2362 Elbow Lake Beach Road in Prescott, this land has been surveyed and found to be as follows, and then gives the survey description. It should be stated emphatically that at no time have I ever given permission and or implied permission for any part of my property to be impeded upon, and any further manipulation of property will be met with lengthy litigation. Communication regarding my property will occur in the written format only. After I received that letter, because the easements were prepared by the township attorney, I had sent this over to the township attorney, and he went ahead and sent the easements anyways. Originally, the easements were 50 feet, and we recognized that 50 feet was too far, and we only needed the 35 feet. She in turn sent this letter back to Mr. Brabant. Mr. Brabant reported to me that the only choice that the township has is to exercise the eminent domain. And we have to do this by resolution to start the process, and each board member was provided a copy of the resolution. I'll read this resolution and explain what it does. Whereas Mills Township, which is a government body seeking to exercise the power of eminent domain for the northerly 35 feet, of the westerly 85 feet, of the easterly 194 feet, of the northerly 160 feet, of the government lot 2 in section 23, town 21 north, range 3 east, parcel number 65010-023-04900, Mills Township, Oklahoma County, Michigan. And whereas Mills Township needs to acquire the said property for public use, and where the UCPA governs the agency efforts to actually acquire the property and applies to all condemnation actions in Michigan, and whereas MCL 213.52 provides the standards for the acquisition of property by an agency, and MCL 213.75. All actions for the acquisition of the property by an agency under the power of the eminent domain shall be commenced pursuant to and be governed by this act. And whereas its standards apply from the beginning of the acquisition process, including the pre-condemnation negotiation process, and now therefore be it resolved that the Mills Township Board has identified the property, wishes to acquire, and all possible owners of that property, and declares that it is necessary to take the property for public use by the agency. The foregoing resolution was presented to the Township Board September 11, 2012. Now, this doesn't mean that the Township Board is going to take the property. However, this is the process, this is the law. What this means is after this process is complete, we will have to get an assessor to assess the value of the 35 feet of property and offer the property a fair market price to purchase the easement. That is the next step, but this is the first step that has to be accomplished. Hopefully it doesn't have to go before litigation, because it will tie up some issues. The easements are required for a number of reasons. One, we will not qualify for the DNR grant for the Elbow Lake project if we do not have easements. The DNR will not provide dollars to an area that cannot be accessed by the public. Secondly, the ingress and egress for the people who live in that subdivision back there, if that property is somehow closed off, if there's an emergency, fire trucks and ambulances have only one way to get in and out, and that's a violation as well. So with that being said, I need a motion, if if there's not any questions by the board, motion, if there are any questions by the board? First,
Second.
Go ahead with the procedure that we have to do, and we have no choice but to do it.
no, we don't, we do not. This is-
Anybody that's,
You don't have a choice?
really in the long run, no.
Yeah, motion and support.
It's being used now. You do have a choice.
You got this one.
Jim.
Moore,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
yes, motion carried.
Okay. Okay, new business, the first item, we have a letter from Mr. Beatty. He would like permission to split lot 81 from Elmer Knight's Ravens subdivision for the purpose of the use and maintenance of the water well, which is located westerly 3 feet of lot 81. Board members provided a copy of that, as well as a copy of the lot split which he's requested. Apparently there's a well on that property, when they put the well in, they put it on the wrong property apparently. So, they're requesting this, if there's not any questions, we need a motion to approve this, to go before the county.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
Motion and support.
Aye.
Roll call, or? Sorry, talking too fast. Tigers are playing tonight.
Emerson,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
yes. Motion carried.
Okay. Okay, special events insurance is the next thing on the agenda. I'd like to point out, for the past 4 years, this board has only made decisions with the best interests of the township and the people that live in it. However, we are bound by laws of the state of Michigan and abilities, what we can do and can't do as a general law township. We all, as a board, we all live here, our children live here, our grandchildren live here. We're in favor of anything that improves our community and support everything that does. We are not purposely trying to make life difficult, but we're required by law to be responsible, and we were voted in here for that responsibility to safeguard the township, its assets, and its future endeavors. The issue in reference to the special events insurance is not a new issue relative to the trick-or-treating on the boardwalk. This actually, I'm going to read this from April 10th. This goes back, actually even the previous year, there was some discussion in reference to the baseball, the tournaments and stuff that are held on township property. That process was started then in reference to forms being filled out and insurances needed and waivers being signed. So with the increased amount of events that occur on township property, in April and I met with Mr. Olson. He is the township's insurance policy agent. At that time it was reviewed and he brought it more to our attention in reference to these requirements for these insurances. I also, at that same meeting, I'll read this, Saunders explained that all the township parks are now open. He also explained that due to the increased organized events that are taking place on township property, any request for the proposed event has to be brought before the township board 90 days prior to the event. This will allow the township to ensure all liability and safety concerns are met. I did speak with Ms. Mason around that same time frame, indicated to her that any of those events, because the one that was occurring then was the Easter Bunny situation, everything down there, and indicated that as well as the safeguarding the township to safeguard her own person in case there was a lawsuit to protect her for that. At the last meeting, I asked her to meet with me, and the reason for that is that as the township supervisor, I'm the spokesperson for the township. Everybody usually comes to me first, and I provide the information and help those people in whatever endeavor, inner problems, or whatever they have. And as I mentioned at the candidate night, I have an open door policy, and anybody can come in, and people come in for all types of different issues, and that's primarily how it's done. It's even indicated in the general law of books that the township supervisor is the spokesperson. He pretty much handles all the details and things, provides the information to the township board, and the board therefore makes its decision. Now, I did provide information. I spoke with asked the township insurance agent to provide me with some information to try to better explain this to the community and what concerns that we have. So therefore, I'll read this. Lloyd, I've enclosed 2-page guideline for events from our risk management department. Your event would fall under a medium hazard. The most important aspect of this would be a certificate of insurance. This would be a minimum of $1 million policy for the organization wanting to use the township property for their event. The township also be added as an additional insured to the organization's policy. Whenever you allow the township property to be used for a large sponsor event by an organization or an individual who should request these items, I would make this a standard practice. I hope this information is helpful. And then he provided me the information of medium hazard, limited physical activity, participants, notes, severe exposure, et cetera, and the certificate of insurances, which is something that you probably hear us read even in relation to all these things where the township is named as an additional insured on their policies. That applies to the baseball tournaments, fireworks, like Ogama fireworks, anything that involves, and when I refer to an organized event, it's something that is 50 people or more is considered an organized event. And it's not only to safeguard the township, but the individual organization that's putting it on. If there is a wrongful death suit or something of that nature that occurs, that individual has there's no protection from the township whatsoever. And they would have no protection for themselves whatsoever if they did not have some form of this policy. Speaking also as well as with Mr. Brabant, Township Attorney, I sent the information in to ensure that, all of our bases are covered and so on, and I'll read this letter to the board as well. As discussed last month, allowing public events on public property sponsored by private groups requires insurance. After our discussion in which we agreed it would be prudent to discuss the matter with the Township Insurance Agent. He requested to receive information from the agent, Paul Wilson, indicating both he and the insurance company risk control department confirmed our belief that private individuals or groups holding public events on public property must provide liability insurance. You forward the insurance company's basic guidelines for special events to me, and we again discussed that the township should develop a policy or ordinance regarding special events. While I realize a policy or ordinance may result in certain events not being held, we do not live in the same world we did 50 or even 20 years ago. It is the responsibility of the township board to protect the township for potential problems and costs which could develop as a result of not having a policy or ordinance setting forth certain guidelines and insurance requirements for special events. That being said, we do need to put this in place. And we understand as far as what's currently planned in the immediate future, as far as the trick or treat and so on the boardwalk, we understand that. Like I said, we have kids and grandkids too. My grandkids will go on that boardwalk as well. It would be my recommendation to the board that we, under these circumstances, we allow Ms. Mason to have this event this year, and then we put in place either a policy and or ordinance, and to be able to clearly describe the needs of any future endeavors on township property. It's important, again, it's our responsibility to safeguard the township. There has been a couple wrongful death suits in the township. There was an event that occurred back in the 80s when the township used to support the fire department's motorcycle racing on the ice, and there was an individual killed and somebody paralyzed, and the township got sued for it. And that was why we no longer do that. The only thing left from that era is the fire department's annual ball that they have, because they used to have a whole winter thing. It is the world that we live in right now. It's an unfortunate thing that we have to cover our butts, everything that we do, but it is the world that we live in. So, that being said, does the board have any questions?
The only question I have is, now, how many, are we gonna have the Christmas as well as the Halloween, or are we only gonna have one, till this gets put in place, or what are we in?
Well, it'd be my recommendation, because the only one that should constitute, as far as an organized event over 50 people, would be the trick or treating. I think that's, what was about 900 people last year? Does that sound about right?
We had 842 last year.
Yeah, so that's a quite a large organized event. So I don't believe the tree or the
Christmas?
That's usually no more than Diane and I.
For the Christmas wreath.
I don't perceive that as a problem. And so, but we should have something in place
Yeah.
prior to, for the following year. Does any other board have any questions?
Is there a motion or a
Yeah.
resolution?
I just want a motion to approve, to allow them to do the trick or treating this year.
Make that motion. No, second.
Motion and support, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Public comment, if you'd like to come up, public comment, please approach the microphone and. Oh, come on up.
Oh.
My name's Shane Gomez, and first I'd like to say that we're gonna have a charity auction again. We changed the date from the 6th, October 6th to October 13th. So we're still looking for donations. All proceeds are going to go towards a building fund to help the library pay back USDA for the money they had to borrow to get the grant for the library. One other thing that I had a question about is the annual meeting of the electors. Again, I'm glad that you got me to section 41.8, but I found it here. And I'm reading in paragraph 5 of that 41.8, and it says, once an annual meeting of the electors has been reestablished by the vote of the people, the annual meeting may only be abolished by the resolution of the township board submitting the question of the annual meeting to the electors of the township at the next regular primary or general election. Now, my argument is that how was it ever abolished to begin with, just by resolution of the board? And if that wasn't done correctly, then how do we continue to just not have an annual meeting?
I answered that question when I read in my supervisor's report. It clearly states the township board is not required by that law to have an annual meeting. I'm not concerned what they did 15 years ago.
No, I'm saying that I have that right here, 41.8. I'd like to know where it says in there.
I just explained it to you, and that was in reference to MTA, and that's all I have to say about it.
Okay, but I'm showing you what the section that you referenced right here, where it says that it has to be put on the ballot to be abolished, and it was not.
Going by what they told me, I just told you, I don't have any more to say.
This is from the MTA.
I know where it's from, read it. I don't have anything more to say about it. Do you have any other public comment?
Yeah, the other thing is about the eminent domain. You said that this board doesn't intend on taking a person's property. Well, why are you filing for the eminent domain if you don't plan on taking their property?
We're applying for an easement.
An easement, right, which is
Yes.
taking their property.
Yes, we have no choice in the matter, and it's language that is in the law. We have to apply for that easement, just like I read it. I read the complete application, and it's by law. It's what we have to do, we have no choice.
Which property is it?
I read it. I already read it.
Is it right on the corner, or one lot in? On the
It's the
overlay
first
road?
two parcels, that's what I said.
First two parcels.
In my report.
Okay. All right, no further questions, thanks.
Any other public comment? No further public comment, motion to adjourn?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you get up.
You sneaked up there on the
I just wanted to ask you, when you go about doing the insurance policy, we also ask how much it would cost for an individual to get that policy to the townships.
You wouldn't be able to get that policy through the township.
I couldn't go there
No, not through
and
the
pay
township.
them?
No.
Because for being an individual.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to go through the township for that, for that.
I know, but the insurance company you use sells insurance policies
Oh,
to
yeah, you as
other
an individual
people.
probably could, I don't know if they would, yeah. You actually, quite honestly, you could probably get less expensive, going through just your homeowners, quite honestly, I mean, just.
But when you do that, we ask them what their estimate would be for a policy of that size.
Well, he told me $1,000,
$1,000.
yes, but like I said, you may wanna check, and I did not check within a homeowner's policy, and, that may be, you know, significantly less.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you have anything in place, how are you gonna notify, the residents of this, ordinance for the, you know, having to have a permit for the meetings, for the get-togethers?
You talking about the, special event?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry, what was your question again?
how are you going to let everybody know that it's required?
In the form of an ordinance, it'll be posted in the newspaper. It's required by law to, there's quite a lengthy process to put an ordinance in place.
Okay,
And then what it's always been commonplace for any events to, they need the permission of the township board. So they would have to come to a board meeting and request that permission anyways. And at which that time, that's when we would provide the information to them, what necessary documents they would need.
okay, well, I'd like you to consider the fact that people have to purchase a newspaper. So if there was a way that you could send out a flyer or something to everybody so that, you know, we don't have to purchase a newspaper in order to get the information, that the, you know, that it's changed.
Well, the only thing, sending out flyers and stuff, of course, we have over 4,000 people in the community. It's quite expensive to do that. So we provide postings and you know, information like that. Again, any organized events, typically people, you have to come to the township board and request permission anyways. And that's when, if there's any doubt, I mean, we would provide a packet, if you will, of details that are going to be required.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what is your name, ma'am?
Elizabeth Grable.
Okay, thank you.
I got one more question. The question I have is if people gather on the boardwalk for like next year, does it put the township at liability then without coming to the board? Because it's a public place,
Does it put who at risk?
the township.
Absolutely.
So, but it's a public place, I mean, if people wanna go there, how do you shut?
Anytime
How do you
anybody's
police that?
anytime anybody's on township property, the township's at risk.
Okay, so how do you police that if they go out there and do it anyways? That's what I'm asking.
Well, if it's in the form of an ordinance is a law. So if there's individuals that having organized events on township property and don't have the proper credentials, they're in violation of the law.
Okay. And you would act on that? 'Cause it's your responsibility.
We are required by law to
Thank you.
enforce all the laws of the township. Any other public
That
comment?
last statement, could you repeat that please? I didn't hear it.
I'm sure you heard it.
No, I didn't.
I said we are responsible to enforce all the laws of the township.
Okay, thank you. Is that a law?
Diane Ketchum. And I was wondering, what's our township cleaning corner G past the triangle sign? Is that our property?
That property, was actually, when that road was put in back in the 60s, that piece of land got split off from all owners. There is no owner of that property. The county doesn't own it, or nobody owns it. So the township, we checked into it, we're allowed to go in there and clean it, so we're just cleaning it up to make it more presentable to come into the township.
Great. It looks really nice. Yeah.
Thank
Hey.
you. Any other public comment?
The lights at the Skidway Lake sign, right there, they're not working?
Yeah, we got a busted eye on that thing. I gotta put a new eye on it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it went out the night before last and I forgot all about it, so we gotta put a new eye in there. We got the eye up there, we'll probably stick it in tomorrow.
There's no other public comment?
Does that mean that you have to buy insurance to have a birthday party, more than 50 people at the Newman's Park?
An organized event,
Does that consider an organized event or no?
well, no, most typically those don't require, or not more than 50 people.
I understand, but if so, I mean,
Keep your mouth shut and don't say how many you invite.
well, I know that, I'm just saying, I'm
Well, like
just
I
trying
said,
to
you know,
figure
it's-
this all out. Why
it's-
you,
The intention of it is, you know, when you have like 900 people in a confined area, you know, there's, especially if you look at the trick-or-treating situation there, you've got Greenwood Road, people fly around there, I mean,
Right, I understand
the
that.
risk of, you know, so, I mean, we're not gonna get crazy, but we just gotta try to.
Can't the township purchase that insurance for the event? I
yeah,
mean, it's for the good of the people,
right.
and it brings
No.
people into town.
No, that means the township then would have to buy insurances for every organized event that occurs in the township, that's not practical.
So does the baseball teams have to buy it too?
They have their insurance, yes.
Oh, they
And
already
they-
have,
they
they already have
signed-
theirs in place then?
Yeah,
they need-
and they
Okay.
signed, I don't wanna say waiver, pardon me? A waiver, yeah, they have waivers that they sign.
Can we sign waivers?
Old Harmon. They have, as I said, they have insurance.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
That being said, motion to adjourn? Motion?
What property did you ask about, Dan?
Oh, when you come around the curves near the big triangle sign, and clean it out,
Yeah, that.
there's a piece of land in there.